Some women write down what they want, and somehow it happens. Not instantly, not magically, but almost inevitably. The right people find them. The opportunities open up. The glow up sticks. The life they imagined starts feeling real. And then there are other women who journal, script, affirm, visualize, do everything right, and still feel like nothing is changing. So, what's the difference? Why does manifestation seem to work so powerfully for some women and not at all for others? Because manifestation was never just about wanting something badly. It's about who you become while waiting for it. And once you understand that, everything changes. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about manifestation, but not in the shallow Pinterest quote, just raise your vibration kind of way. We're talking about the real psychology behind why some women seem to attract better lives, better treatment, better timing, and better opportunities, almost effortlessly. Because the truth is, manifestation is not just spiritual. It's deeply tied to identity, self-concept, emotional regulation, standards, and the energy you carry before anything arrives. And once you understand that, you stop chasing outcomes and start becoming the kind of woman outcomes chase. So let's get into it. Most people think manifestation starts with desire. I want this. I want that life. I want to be her. But desire alone doesn't create reality. Because you can want something deeply and still subconsciously believe it doesn't belong to you. And that's where most people stay stuck. They affirm for abundance while secretly identifying with lack. They ask for love while expecting disappointment. They want a soft, beautiful, elevated life while still seeing themselves as the girl who has to settle, chase, over-explain, or beg. And your identity will always overpower your wishes. Because manifestation doesn't respond most strongly to what you say you want, it responds to what your nervous system believes is normal. That's why some women don't need to force, convince, or obsess. They've already decided on a deep level, good things happen for me. I am chosen. I am supported. I do not have to suffer to receive. And once that becomes your identity, life starts rearranging itself around that standard. Not because you got lucky, but because you stopped being available for anything beneath the reality you now expect. This is the part nobody wants to hear. The women who manifest the fastest are usually not the women gripping the outcome the hardest. They are often the women who are the least desperate for it. Not because they don't care, but because they don't see the desire as the thing that will finally make them worthy, lovable, beautiful, or enough. And that changes everything. Because desperation carries a very specific energy. I need this to happen, or I'll feel incomplete. And that energy creates attachment. Attachment creates anxiety. Anxiety creates obsession. And obsession keeps your focus on not having, which means even while you're trying to manifest, you're emotionally rehearsing lack. That's why some women unknowingly block their own manifestations, not because they want too much, but because they're trying to use the manifestation to emotionally rescue them. And manifestation works best when your energy says, I desire this deeply, but I do not collapse without it. That is power. That is magnetism. That is the energy of a woman who is no longer begging life to choose her because she already has. If there is one thing that changes everything in manifestation, it's this: your self-concept. Because your self-concept determines what you tolerate, what you expect, what you pursue, what you believe is available to you, and what feels too good to be true. A woman with a poor self-concept can receive a beautiful opportunity and sabotage it. She'll overthink it, downplay it, distrust it, talk herself out of it, or shrink the second life starts getting better. But a woman with a strong self-concept moves differently. She doesn't panic when good things arrive. She doesn't self-destruct the moment she's seen, desired, admired, or elevated. She can actually hold the life she asked for. And that is what most people forget. It's not just about attracting, it's about sustaining. A lot of women are trying to manifest a life they are not yet emotionally available for. Not because they're incapable, but because they haven't expanded their self-image enough to feel safe inside that reality. And until your identity catches up, your manifestations will keep feeling temporary, unstable, or just out of reach. This is where manifestation gets deeper than aesthetics and affirmations, because your nervous system is involved in everything. A dysregulated woman can say all the right things and still live in survival mode internally. She can journal about peace while her body is addicted to chaos. She can affirm, "I am worthy," while still feeling safest in inconsistency, emotional unavailability, or struggle. And if chaos feels familiar, peace can feel boring. If instability feels normal, healthy opportunities can feel suspicious. If being overlooked is familiar, being fully seen can feel uncomfortable. This is why healing and manifestation are connected. Because often, what blocks the manifestation isn't the universe. It's your body still preparing for disappointment. And that's why becoming magnetic is not just about becoming prettier, more confident, or more disciplined. It's also about becoming safe enough to receive, safe enough for love, safe enough for visibility, safe enough for abundance, safe enough for ease. Because when your body no longer expects everything beautiful to disappear, you stop pushing good things away, and your life changes from the inside first. The women everyone calls magnetic, lucky, or unforgettable usually have one thing in common. They live as if life is responding to them. Not because they're delusional, but because they move with a quiet expectation that things can work in their favor. They don't crumble at every delay. They don't chase every closed door. They don't force what clearly lacks reciprocity. They understand something powerful. Rejection is often redirection, but only if you don't lose yourself in the process. And that's what makes their energy so attractive. They don't just want a beautiful life. They carry themselves like they belong in one. That's why manifestation in its most feminine form is not loud. It's not frantic. It's not obsessive. It's not constantly proving, posting, forcing, or convincing. It's deeply rooted. It's the woman who says, "What is meant for me will recognize me, and I will recognize it." That is not passivity. That is alignment. And alignment will always be more powerful than control. So if you want manifestation to actually work, here's what to focus on. 1. Change your self-concept before you chase the outcome. Ask yourself, who do I believe I am in love, in success, in beauty, in money, in life? Because that identity is creating more than your vision board ever will. 2. Stop using your desires as proof that you are lacking. Wanting more does not mean your current self is inadequate. It just means you're expanding. And expansion feels very different from emptiness. 3. Regulate your energy. Not everything needs urgency. Not every delay is rejection. Not every silence is a sign. A calm woman manifests differently because she doesn't turn every in-between moment into emotional chaos. 4. Start embodying now. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but in small, consistent ways. Speak like the woman you're becoming. Choose like her. Protect your peace like her. Carry standards like her. Because your future self is not built in one giant breakthrough. She is built in repeated self-respect. And honestly, that's the real secret. At its core, manifestation is not really about getting. It's about becoming. Becoming the woman who no longer abandons herself. The woman who can hold beauty without fear. The woman who expects more because she finally sees herself as someone who can receive more. And maybe that's why manifestation works so powerfully for some women. Because at some point, they stopped asking life for permission and started moving like it was already making room for them. And when a woman truly changes her self-concept, her standards, her energy, and the way she sees herself, her reality usually has no choice but to follow.